Alright, so it's been a few days since my last vid, and during those past few days, Dokkan has been so active in terms of new information and data. So, a couple days ago, right, they did drop the Part 2 announcement video right here for the Worldwide Celebration campaign. That was really focused on informing us as a player base who the new Part 2 LRs and new units are going to be that we will look forward to seeing headlining the Part 2 of the celebration. Now, for Part 1, we've been enjoying the LR Carnival Broly and the Dokkan Fest LR Goku, Gohan, and Trunks, along with the side banner Piccolo and Vegeta. Those obviously are all related to the first Broly movie. But for Part 2, a lot of us were already kind of well aware the Part 2 was going to go into Broly's Second Coming, because that is the second Broly movie, and the theme of the celebration is revolving around Broly himself, specifically Dragon Ball Z Broly. So, based on all of that, we already were kind of expecting Part 2 to kind of lean towards that and tell us some Part 2 LRs related to Broly's Second Coming, which they did in this video. So, I did plan to actually record this video a couple days ago when the actual kind of announcement came out. But unfortunately, for the past few days, my recordings have been choppy, my audio's been all messed up, so I didn't feel comfortable kind of uploading that. So, I do apologize, guys. I wish I was a bit more on top of it. I will work on it. But I hope you guys will appreciate at least me trying to get it right now. And I think, to be fair, it's for the best, because over the past few days since the announcement video, more data, more information has come, more updates and information in general has come to allow us to have a more proper breakdown in general of all the important information going to Part 2. So I think in the end, it's all worked out. So we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. We're going to go ahead and obviously reveal who the Part 2 units are. In case you don't know who they are just quite yet, we're going to go ahead and talk about who they are. We're going to go ahead and look at the animations as well for the new units, and we're going to break down the kits as well. And after all of that, then we will go ahead and talk about some of the new data that we've been giving as part of a new data download recently, I think yesterday or so, that we definitely have to talk about, because that is correlated to Part 2 of the celebration, and it's all very important. So definitely strap in, because we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But first thing is first, we have to talk about who the new Part 2 units are. So, of course, for Part 1, we had a Carnival LR, a Dokkan Fest LR, and a Siberian unit. They kept this theme in line with the Part 2. So, we do have one Carnival LR to look forward to, a Dokkan Fest LR, and a Siberian unit. Now, when it comes to who these units are, the first one to talk about is the Carnival LR, and that is right here with a Super Saiyan Teen Gohan. Now, of course, people think Teen Gohan and think, hey, that's Cell Saga Gohan. That's the first ever Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Like, that's that Gohan. But no, when it comes to the game in terms of the naming system, Cell Saga Gohan is described as Youth Gohan. And I guess it makes sense, because Gohan was only 11 at the time. At this point in time, during the Majin Buu saga kind of period, he is like, what, 16, 17 years old? So he is a teenager in that sense. But yeah, I mean, usually we think of Teen Gohan as Cell Saga, so just bear that in mind. Obviously, if you guys are like, why is he called Teen Gohan? That is why. It's kind of like a different naming situation here. Also, a couple things to mention, obviously, off rip. First things first, he is an STR type unit. He does have a standby, and also he does lead the Kamehameha category. We will look at his kit again in just a moment, but also the one thing I do want to emphasize here, which is maybe not that serious, but it is worth mentioning for me, Gohan is a standalone unit, and he is the Carnival LR, right? But he is a standalone Gohan. So compare that to the Part 1 Dokkan Fest LR. That was Goku, Gohan, and Trunks, right? So it was a trio, it was a unit in the Joint Forces category, but also the first Dokkan Fest LR for Part 1, that was a unit where you couldn't have them on Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans as categories, because it was Goku, a Pure Saiyan, mixed with Gohan and Trunks, both Hybrid Saiyans. So you couldn't have that unit fit onto either of those categories. With Gohan, because he is a standalone Gohan, he's not a Gohan and Goten or anything like that, he will not be a part of Joint Forces, but he will be able to be a part of Hybrid Saiyans. So that is a bit of a trade-off, if you will. It's not the most serious thing in the world, in my opinion, but it is still worth bringing this up, because I think it's very important to kind of notice these sorts of discrepancies, the differences, and whatnot. It's not the end of the world still, but it is still worth mentioning. Aside from that, of course, we have the Carnival LR. We do still have to talk about the Dokkan Fest LR, and I think at this point we all know who it's going to be. It's going to be the boy, legendary Super Saiyan Broly. And as we see, a couple things right here. First of all, he is an int type unit, so that is something I did not expect, but there you go, he is an int type unit. Also, he starts off as the legendary Super Saiyan. He does not start in base form. He does not start off in his Super Saiyan form and transform to the legendary Super Saiyan. He is just flat out a legendary Super Saiyan Broly. So that does mean that he will not be on the Super Saiyans category, unfortunately. But at the same time, I mean, it's nice that we don't have to worry about some sort of transformation to see him at his full power or anything like that. Aside from that, we do see here, he does have a domain, so we'll talk about that when we get to it. And also for the leader skill, because he is a Dokkan Fest LR, he does cover multiple categories. We see Uncontrollable Power, which is a new category introduced during the Worldwide Celebration campaign, Revenge, and Planetary Destruction. We will talk about all of that in just a moment. But yeah, a lot of fun things to talk about when it comes to Broly and Gohan, of course. Broly, the Dokkan Fest LR, Gohan, the Carnival LR. Also, though, we do have a side banner unit, and that right here is going to be the Buu Tech Videl. Actually, is it Videl? I mean, yeah, I guess like technically that's Gohan's Buu, so I can't really I can't fight Gohan for that. Gohan's not gonna let me have that. But whatever. Tech Videl is the side banner unit. So, I mean, we don't expect too much crazy things from her, of course, being a side banner, you are. But still, I mean, it's going to be fun to see what her kit can do. Obviously, we do have to look at the animations as well. But yeah, we have a lot of fun things to talk about when it comes to new units. Obviously, these are the only 3 new premier units, if you will, that will be coming to the game far as summonable LRs and a summonable side banner unit. So, yeah, not too much in terms of new units otherwise, but this is what we typically expect from part 1 or part 2 of the celebration is 2 LRs and a side banner unit. So, there you go. Alright, now we got that all squared away. We'll talk about the kits again in just a moment, but first thing is first, I want to go ahead and look at some animations. I'm sure you guys want to go ahead and look at the animations again yourselves if you have already seen them, and if you haven't, well, I'm honored that I get to show you guys these animations firsthand. So, anyways, let's go ahead. So, this one right here is going to cover the side banner Videl along with the Dokkan Fest LR Broly, and up top, that is going to have the Carnival LR Gohan. So, let's go ahead and start off with Videl and Broly, and then from there, we can go ahead and move on upward. So, let's go ahead and check it out. Now, of course, with side banner Videl, we do not expect too much in terms of animation quality. The crystal throwing is kind of nice. The moonsault kick, it's not too shabby. I mean, we don't expect too much from a side banner unit, right? What we do expect good animations for is for the LRs. And if you listen to that OST is... it's just amazing. Broly back again with a vengeance. We love to see it, because Broly is such a dope character. I'm glad they finally made him canon through Dragon Ball Super with the Super Broly movie, but still. 12 key right here. Look at the close-up shot to his face, the lighting, everything, the way the smoke is coming around him. They do a fantastic job when it comes to Broly's animations. I gotta give him credit. Alright, now next right here, we do see an OST change, and this does mean that this is the active skill for Broly. We see him, of course, take Gohan to the earth and just kind of press him into it really hard, which is kind of crazy. Broly laughing diabolically, that's what you love to see. This OST is crazy too, by the way. And there you go, we see the domain activated as well. We see Gohan attempting to attack us with a super attack, but you know what? That does not matter to Broly, because guess what? He has a revive. Yeah, Broly has a revive. He is not done. He wants the smoke. He wants the get back. A nice chapow for the revival. We do love the sound effects. It's like a comic book thing for me. I really do like that. And then, of course, Broly back again, once again, for that. He just wants that smoke. He wants to spin the block in every single sense of the word. Or the phrase, I guess. 18 key right here, by the way, with a bit of minkage against Gohan. Jumping from the top rope, stepping on Gohan with all 300 or 400 pounds of that body muscle right there. And then right there, we see something kind of crazy. We see a knockoff Final Flash. That was a knockoff Final Flash from Broly. Vegeta is going to have to come back from the dead to get Bulma, to get the corporate lawyers, so that they can sue Broly for stealing Vegeta's technique, because that is kind of crazy. But yeah, the animations, we see a lot of fun stuff there. We see an intro, of course, 12 and 18 key for Broly, which is what we expected, because he is an LR. We do see the domain activation through the active skill. We see the revival, so a lot of fun things to talk about with Broly. Now, though, let's go ahead and look at Gohan's kind of animations here, and then we can go ahead now and look at the kit. So let's go ahead and see how Gohan is looking. Now, I do believe this is in 1x speed, so I think it will look a lot quicker, obviously, than it would as it is right now. I think this is just 1x speed. But when it comes to the 12 key right here, this is looking so good, the lighting and everything. It is worth mentioning, Gohan doesn't have an intro. 18 key, by the way, I love when the hair flows like that. It is just so immaculate, and I love it. Alright, now heading with a super explosive wave. I botched it, super explosive wave. There we go. Look at the lighting, too, by the way. That is beautiful. I love the way they do the lighting with this. Now we got something here which is for the standby, right? So we can hear the OST. Kind of sounds dark.
going to defeat you.
And then as we see, it picks back up to that hero tone, obviously when Gohan becomes a Super Saiyan again, ready to fight back. Now, if you guys did not think this was going to happen, you guys are crazy, because part 2, I mean the second Broly movie, this is like one of the best moments from that movie. Like, they had to do it. And they did a good job. They did such a good job with this. Gotta love the power of family. The power of the family right there is so amazing right there. We see the KO, the Dragon Ball splitting, and right there, of course, I didn't want to let the video kind of fade to black there, but we do see, of course, the KO screen, the sons looking to the heavens for their beloved father. It's just so nice. They did Family Kamehameha right, and that's what we expected, because the animation qualities have been so fire for the past few years, and when it comes to this, I mean, you can't mess up Family Kamehameha. It's too good of a moment to mess that up. So they did a fantastic job when it comes to the animations. But okay, so we saw the animations. Let's go ahead now and look at the kits. And I believe the first one we're going to go ahead and look at actually is Gohan. So we'll start with the Carnival LR Gohan, then we'll go to Broly, then Videl. So when it comes to Gohan, again, the Carnival LR, he is a 200% lead for Kamehameha, just Kamehameha only. So this is something kind of nice, because when it comes to the Kamehameha category, there are not that many great units to lead the category, because we see right here, other than the Carnival LR Gohan right here, which Dokkan Info is now put into the game, we see the AGL LR Gohan, who is not that great anymore after his EZA a while back. We see Physical Goten and Trunks, the Dokkan Fest, who still need their EZA, so they're a bit outdated. The Saibanner Krillin, the Yellow Coin LR Gohan, and Goku from like the What If for like the Cell Saga kind of ending there, so not too many great choices for leaders. But now with the Carnival LR Gohan, that is going to be a massive boost to this category in terms of a leader option. Obviously, the category is chock full of some really badass and powerful units, like the Super Saiyan Trio right here from Part 1, Tech UI Goku, the AGL LR Gohan from Part 2 of the Golden Week celebration, I believe it was, with the Yellow Coin LR, Tanabata Goku Super Saiyan Trio right here from Super Android 13 movie, MUI Goku right here. There's a lot of nice options, even things like Evo Ken and Super Vegeta right here, they fit into Kamehameha. So, I mean, in that sort of sense, yeah, having another great lead for the category, that is a fantastic W right there for Gohan. Now, aside from that, we do have to look, of course, at the passive skill right here, Power to Protect the Earth, Ki plus 5, and Attack and Defense plus 200%, plus an additional Ki plus 2, Attack plus 40% up to 200%, and Defense plus 30% up to 150% with each attack performed. So the way this works is you have to do 5 attacks. Doesn't matter if they're 18 key supers or 12 key supers or whatnot. Once you do 5 attacks, he will max out this kind of part of his passive here with a 200% attack boost and 150% defense boost, making this a total of 400% to his attack right here, plus 350% to his defense right here. Also, when it comes to the ki, right, there is no limit for his ki, so each attack he's performing in general is going to be continuously increasing his ki, which is going to be so fantastic. We'll see that in just a moment why you want to do that, but it's going to be fantastic. Also right here, something very dope. Plus an additional attack plus 77% within the same turn with each super attack performed. So basically, they're incentivizing you to say, hey, when you have this Gohan, if you can do so, put additionals in his hidden potential system so that he could do more supers, which will allow him to boost his damage more and more and more and more. And that is so awesome. We're going to see probably a lot of damage output from this guy in game. And me personally, I'm already so hyped to kind of try to pull for him if I can go ahead and get him. But alright, so aside from that, launches an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super when ki is 18 or more. When ki is 24, plus an additional attack plus 58%, and launches a guaranteed additional super, and on top of that, if HP is 77% or more, attacks will be effective against all types. Now, this whole 77% or more kind of a mechanic here, that's not really too important. What is important is all of the additionals he can do, right? Assume you get the first super attack, right? So that's 1, plus this whole kind of 18 key guaranteed potential super right here, so that's 2, plus the 24 key super right here, so that's 3, plus the hidden potential one, that's 4. You can get 4 super attacks. That puts you around, I think, like if I could do quick math, that's basically like 300% attack boost right there if you do all of those super attacks. So that is going to be so crazy within that turn if you can get something like that to happen, and Gohan is going to do a lot of output. I'm kind of excited to see the numbers he can put up and put out. On top of that, when there is another Kamehameha or Earthbred Fighters category ally in the same turn, remember, he leads Kamehameha as a category. when there is another one of those 2 types of category allies on the same turn, plus an additional key +2 and guards all attacks guaranteed, and if HP is 77% or less, on top of that, when receiving an attack, he has a high chance to evade an enemy's attack. So basically, this just means that for Gohan, you want him to work with his other kind of category allies, and it's very easy to do so. You kind of want to do it anyways for linking and all that sort of stuff. But if you can do that, then Gohan is also going to have guard on top of the crazy amounts of stat boosts that he has. He's going to have additional ki. It's going to be really nice for him. So, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward kit, I would say, but there is a lot of underlying potential, I would say. Now, when it comes to a negative, I would say for Gohan, I wish he did have some sort of damage reduction. Damage reduction is so important in the current meta, and if you don't have that, you need to be a crazy stat booster, and you most likely want to be in slot 2 anyways. So I do wish Gohan had some more damage reduction in his general passive right here, but it is what it is. With all the stat boosts and everything, he should still be okay, even with guard. So I mean, this is going to be crazy. I'm so excited to see what Gohan can do in-game, and hopefully everyone will have good luck pulling for him if you guys choose to do so. Now, next up though, we do have the standby. So we did see that in the animations. Enters the standby mode right here. Can be activated when HP is 77% or less, or starting from the 3rd turn from the character's entry turn. So this is a very easy kind of mechanic to achieve. You can do this on turn 1 even, or, you know, if you don't have the HP mechanic met. Basically, what the way that works is that if Gohan shows up from turn 1 up to turn 3, that means that Gohan's standby is available from turn 3 to turn 5, right? So it's a really easy kind of standby to enter, and it's pretty nice, I would say. Stands by for 5 turns, during which 7 Dragon Balls appear onto the field. So what will happen is the orb kind of a field, if you will. 7 random orbs will get Dragon Balls put on top of them, so that you can go ahead and acquire those Dragon Balls, right? And charge count will increase by 1 per key sphere obtained by allies, and by an additional 4 per Dragon Ball obtained by allies. So obviously, if you get all 7 Dragon Balls, you will get 28 boost to your charge count, which is definitely going to be desired for several reasons, as we will see when we look at the standby kind of effects right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on next to... Actually, before we go ahead, let me look at the categories right here. So, Kamehameha, Hybrid Saiyans, Majin Buu Saga, Full Power, Movie Heroes, Goku's Family, Siblings Bond, Super Saiyans, Saviors, Defender of Justice, Bond of Parent and Child, Earthbred Fighters, and Power of Wish. I mean, Gohan is on 13 categories, and he is eating so good in all of those categories. It is such a blast to see all of this, because... I mean, when it comes to units, in general, I'm a big fan of units who have a lot of categorical diversity, because, I mean, let's just say you're a new player, or just, you know, you don't have that many options, right? Let's say you pull this Gohan. Now you have one really good unit who can fit onto 13 distinct categories, which means he can fit onto 13 distinct teams. And, I mean, based off that, if you need him to be there for a Kamehameha mission, or Savior's mission, or some sort of Super Battle Road challenge, or something like that, you can have Gohan for those fights, and that can be so huge, that can be so clutch to have a unit like Gohan fit onto so many teams and be usable for all of those different kind of fights. So that's going to be fantastic right there. Also, we keep going forward, we see these super attack effects right here. So with the 12 key, we see he's able to greatly raise attack and raise defense for 1 turn, and cause colossal damage with a high chance to stun the enemy. For the 18 key, I will go ahead and read it in general, but greatly raise attack and defense as well for 1 turn. Also is able to do a lot of damage as well, and actually, I mean, I think we can go ahead and look at the next kind of page, or actually we don't have it. But for the 18 key, he is also giving his allies, or superclass allies, 50% defense for 1 turn when he does the 18 key super. So he is designed to be a support, and we are so glad to see it, because obviously supporting is so strong in this game, and when you have a unit like Gohan who can support with his 18 key where you want him to do damage anyways, it's going to be a blast. Now, I do have to go ahead and back out here, because I do think Gohan's information is no longer available to us, so maybe I can go ahead and go back and find some more of Gohan's kind of information here. But so far, when it comes to... actually, let me go ahead and go back here so I don't go to the wrong section. When it comes to Gohan, though, he's such a great character. Gohan is so great. He's so strong. We see right here, of course, the 18 key effect right there. We see again that raising superclass allies defense by 50% for 1 turn. It's so powerful. We keep going. We see the standby right here. Of course, Goku. We see Goku, Gohan, and Goten. That was awkward. We do see them for the standby right there. So, of course, you got the family all together. That's so beautiful right there for an art. I'm really looking forward to using that art in some thumbnails. But that's gonna be so fire. Also, we do see the kind of standby skill here, so we're going to have to talk about that. But when it comes to the standby, right, Passive skill, Power of Wishes and Justice. Unable to attack except for when the finish effect is activated, so he does have a finish effect right there. Also, attack plus 77% per superclass ally in the same turn, and if all allies attacking in the same turn are superclass, reduces damage received by 77% in general. That is going to be so strong. Defense plus 50% when receiving an attack per key sphere obtained. Also guards all attacks guaranteed, and plus an additional 258% boost to the attack when the finish effect is activated. So pretty straightforward stuff right here. If we keep going, we see the finish effects, right? So there are 3 finish effects for Gohan to kind of symbolize the different kind of situations, right? So the first one right here is the failed finish effect, if you will. So if your charge count is 34 or less, then you raise attack by 50% temporarily per charge count and will cause ultimate damage to the enemy. So typical kind of thing there. That's like the failed finish effect. You have the semi-perfect finish effect right here with the Bros Kamehameha, so Brotherhood Kamehameha. If your charge count is 35 or more, and you have 6 or fewer Dragon Balls, then you will get this, right? So raises attack by 15% temporarily per charge count, but he will be able to do more damage to the enemy in that regard. Now, when it comes to the Family Kamehameha, right, this is the ultimate. This is the perfect finish skill. So to do this, you need to get your charge count 35 or more, and you need to get all 7 Dragon Balls for this to be affected, in which case Goku will come down from the heavens, and you will get that Family Kamehameha. So what you'll see here is raises attack by 20% temporarily per charge count, also causes super ultimate damage to the enemy, and it's not mentioned right here, but it is on the next kind of page, but for the finish effect, attacks will be effective against all types. So all of that is so powerful and so strong. Now, of course, that pretty much covers Gohan, so there's not really much to talk about in terms of him, but yeah, I mean, he's very powerful. I've seen some people say he could be number 1. I don't know how the rankings will work, but I will say, so far, and we'll see with Broly as well, they've done a great job making all the new LRs feel at the minimum like top 5 units, and that's exactly what we want to see, and I'm so happy they did that for part 1 with the Super Saiyan Trio and Carnival Broly, as well as right here with the Carnival LR Gohan, and we will see the same thing with the Dokkan Fest LR Broly as well. Now we can go ahead though and look at Broly. So when it comes to Broly, he's got a lot of fun things as well. First things first, with the whole kind of leader skill, right? So with the leader skill, he's leading Uncontrollable Power, Revenge, and Planetary Destruction for category Key plus 3 and HP attack and defense plus 170%, plus the extra 30% for characters and movie bosses, Transformation Boost, and Pure Saiyans. Now this leader is actually so impactful because for a couple things. One is Revenge and Planetary Destruction do not have necessarily the best sorts of leader opportunities or leader units available. So Broly being another leader for both of those categories, that is a big plus. Also, when it comes to Uncontrollable Power, right, this is a new category, and when it comes to the category, only one unit happens to lead the category, and it's the boy Broly right here. So if you're trying to run this category in any sort of fight, you need Broly to make this happen. Classic supply and demand, and Broly is definitely in demand because he's the only one who can supply a leader for that category. So he is so important there. Also with the passive skill, right, a lot of stuff here. Activates the intro animation upon the character's entry, and extreme class allies get defense plus 40% for 4 turns from the character's entry. 2 things worth noting. There is no condition for the intro, and the second thing is that he is supporting his extreme class allies, giving them that defense for the first few turns so that they can get set up and be ready for the fight going down the line. So that is very impactful right there. Also, attack and defense plus 260% and reduces damage received by 60% in general. That's really nice. Plus an additional 100% to the attack when attacking in general. Plus an additional key plus 2 and recovers 2% HP per type key sphere obtained. Again, that is int key spheres. So if you get int key spheres, he is going to be healing a lot, right? 2% HP per orb obtained. So that is going to be really crazy. Now we see right here with the domain kind of system, right? So while his domain is active, he will randomly change orbs of a certain type other than int or STR key spheres to STR key spheres at the start of the turn and guard all attacks guaranteed. Now this is only available when the domain is active, so when the domain goes away, he will lose the guarding against all attacks and he will lose the orb changing right here. So it is what it is, but it is nice to have at least for some part of the fight. Also, attacks will be effective against all types for the rest of battle when the character performs an attack while his domain is active. So basically, if you do a single attack with Broly while his domain is active, once the domain goes away, he will still be able to have attacks effective against all types throughout the entirety of a fight, and that is so nice. I wish they do that with more domains in the future, but that really kind of incentivizes you to use his domain and to make sure that he has an advantage, because afterwards, the domain will still have a lasting impact for Broly in terms of giving him, in this case, attacks effective against all types. Aside from that, we do see right here his revival kind of mechanics right here. So starting from the 5th turn from the character's entry, he revives with 60% HP recovered when the character or an ally in the same turn is KO'd. Now, this is something very nice. For one, he is giving a revival to all of the allies in the same turn, and also this is a very easy kind of prerequisite to meet, right? 5th turn from the character's entry. Basically, if he shows up turn 1 to turn 3, that means by turn 5 to turn 7 at the latest, Broly will have his revival up and ready to go. So it's a very nice, very easy kind of a prerequisite to meet for the revival kind of condition there. Also, in terms of the revival, right? So, plus an additional defense plus 60% when receiving an attack after the character or an ally's revival skill is activated, and also changes physical key spheres to int key spheres, and uncontrollable power category allies get an attack and defense plus 60% at the start of the character's turn, starting from the turn in which the character's revival is activated. So basically, he gets this 60% defense when any revival is activated, but you want his revival to be activated so that he is supporting these category allies for uncontrollable power and being an orb changer for himself. So you do want to have his revival done, but at the same time, having a general revival will help Broly to some degree. So there is that as well. Now going forward, we see the active skill, Earth Crushing Arm, can be activated when there is a Goku's family category enemy, or when all allies in the same turn are uncontrollable power category characters. So it's a really easy active skill condition right there to meet, and it can basically be turn 1. So when it's activated, massively raises attack, causes ultimate damage, and creates his domain for 3 turns. So it's a very short domain, pretty straightforward there. Also, with the categories, right? Uncontrollable Power, Revenge, Planetary Destruction, Movie Bosses, Transformation Boost, Pure Saiyans, Resurrect Wars, Full Power, Target Goku, Exploding Rage, Inhuman Deeds, Legendary Existence, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, and Powerful Comeback. So he is on 14 different categories. Again, that categorical diversity, that is something that is going to be so helpful, and it's going to be so appreciated when you have Broly to fit onto all of these different teams and all of these different kind of roles and all that sort of stuff. We keep going though, we keep pushing, right? So for the 12th key, we see it is a Ki Blast Super, massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn, and he has a high chance of further raising his defense for 1 turn and causing colossal damage with a high chance to stun. With the 18th key, we don't see the effect right here, but also massively raises attack and defense for 1 turn. We'll see he has a high chance of further massively raising his attack for 1 turn, and he has a colossal damage with a great chance to stun the enemy as well. So Broly has a lot of nice things about him. I mean, can we go ahead? Actually, no, not there. We have to go back the other way. So there's a lot of things he can offer in his kit, and his part 2 is just as beautiful as his part 1. So we see right here with the 18 key, that's a melee super, by the way, I didn't mention that, but further massively raising attack for 1 turn, great chance to stun. He has a lot of nice things right there. And with the domain, by the way, uncontrollable power category allies and enemies get attack and defense plus 15%, also increasing damage received by superclass enemies and allies by 15%, plus an additional 10% for characters in the movie heroes category. So Broly definitely hates movie heroes, let's just put it like that, and it makes sense. I mean, Gohan, Goku, and Goten, they killed Broly in the Second Coming movie, so I'm sure he's pissed, I'm sure he's mad, and I would understand why he hates movie heroes. So all kind of pretty straightforward things there as well. Now that we're done with Broly's kit though, we can now go ahead and look at the side banner UR, right? So again, that is Tech Videl, and of course, you know, being a side banner unit, we don't expect Videl to be too broken or anything like that compared to the Premier LRs, but we still expect her to be pretty decent, right? So first things first, we see with her lead, she is a 130% category lead for Dragon Ball Seekers and Earthbred Fighters, so pretty straightforward there, nothing too crazy to kind of talk about there. Also with the passive skill, we see attack and defense plus 200%, let me zoom in right here for you guys, plus an additional attack and defense plus 200% on top of that when performing a super attack, randomly changes key spheres of a certain type other than tech orbs into tech key spheres, so that's going to be very powerful. Medium chance of evading enemy's attack, remember medium refers to 30% chance to dodge right there, so that's in general. Dragon Ball Seekers or Earthbred Fighters category allies gain Ki plus 2 and attack and defense plus 40%. So Videl is in fact a support, and we'll see that kind of be another kind of important part of her passive going forward, right? So obviously that 40% right there. Also plus an additional Ki plus 2 when the character is in the second slot or the second to obtain Ki spheres in a turn, and an additional attack and defense plus 20% when the character is the third to obtain Ki spheres in a turn. So we'll talk about that as we kind of finish the passive, right? But continuing forward, reduces damage received by 20% with each attack performed up to 40% as the second slot unit in a turn, and chance of evading an enemy's attack up to or increased by 20% with each attack performed up to 40% as the third slot unit in the turn. So essentially what we can say for certainty is that you do not want to put Videl in the first slot. That is going to be a bad idea because you're missing out on a fair bit of her passive if you have her in the first slot. Now, second or third slot, that is up to you. I would probably say third slot is the best kind of position for her, but I think you want to use her in both positions just so you can get that damage reduction for her along with the chance to dodge and all that sort of stuff. Of course, 40% chance to dodge right here, plus the medium chance up there. That makes it a 70% chance to dodge as the third slot unit in the turn. So that can be very impactful. So, I mean, you know, Videl has a lot of nice things. Let me just put it like that. I actually do believe that this whole kind of chance to dodge will just kind of be permanent for Videl regardless once you get her to do 2 attacks as the third slot unit. But still, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to kind of phrase that or work it, encode it into the game. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty nice kind of design for her. I don't think she's necessarily super broken for sure. I don't actually even know if she's better than the Piccolo who exchanges into Vegeta from part 1. But I do think she is a solid unit nonetheless, and her passive is pretty decent for sure, which is what we kind of expected from her as well. Now, I mean, we can keep going forward. We do see the categories, so Dragon Ball Seekers, Earthbred Fighters, Peppy Gals, Movie Heroes, Earthlings, Defender of Justice, Bonded Parent and Child. Only 7 categories, but to be fair, Videl can't fit onto too many different options, and the fact of the matter is she's still on some pretty decent categories that would benefit from her being there, right? Like, Movie Heroes is a great category, her being on there is a plus. Peppy Gals, that's something that's classic for Videl, so that's perfectly fine there. Defender of Justice, Earthling, that's going to be great there. Earthbred Fighters, I think she's fine. Obviously, I would like for her to be on more categories, but considering it's a standalone Videl and everything, this is still pretty good. It could be a lot worse, and they still made sure that she's on some decent categories like Earthbred Fighters, Movie Heroes, so all in all, pretty good. Now, when it comes to the super attack effect, right, so this is going to be something worth talking about. The Moonsault kick, right, so raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes supreme damage to the enemy, and greatly lowers attack with a high chance of further greatly lowering the attack. Now, a couple things worth mentioning, right? Again, we see this whole kind of high chance to further do something with the super attack effect, but also Videl can do some serious debuffing on the opponent bosses provided they can be debuffed. So obviously a lot of difficult content, there will be bosses who are immune to attack or defense down and stuff like that. In those sorts of situations, this kind of final part of Videl's kind of super attack effect is not really applicable. It's not really important because, again, you can't really debuff in those fights. But when you can debuff an opponent, like for example, think Cell Max on turn 4, when you can debuff them, this can be huge because yes, you get the greatly lowering for the attack. On top of that though is a high chance to further greatly lower attack. So that could be another level to the debuff. I'm not sure if they're going to show it like 2 kind of instances of the debuff being applying or how they're going to show it. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty nice kind of thing to see if we can get those situations to happen. So I don't know if I'm necessarily going to chase for Videl, but I would not mind having her because I think she's going to be a pretty solid unit for sure. But yeah, simply put, she's pretty solid. I don't think she's the best sidebander you are in the game, but I'm not mad. I'm not mad at her design. I think it's a pretty solid design, and yeah, there's not much else to it. But now we've talked about the kits, we've already looked at the animations, now we can go ahead and talk about some of the good stuff, specifically in terms of the new data information that we got going into part 2 of the celebration. So first of all, shout out to a couple of our resources, right? Dokkan World, shout out to them. Also shout out to Air Dokkan as well, they're an awesome resource as well. Also shout out to Proton 10 MG. All of these guys are just fantastic people, just fantastic individuals when it comes to giving us data download information. They're always on top of it. So if you guys don't follow them on Twitter stuff, definitely drop a follow for them because they do fantastic work and they deserve that recognition through and through. And I'm sure a lot of you guys already give them that recognition. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be falling on deaf ears. But if there is one person who doesn't follow them, who will follow them after this video, I'll be a happy camper. I'll just say that right now. But okay, so when we go ahead and talk about some of the stuff, right? So first off, looking at Proton's kind of post here for the data download, which was earlier, right? So this included several kind of pieces of information. For one, it included the Part 2 promo movie, so that's nothing crazy there. Of course, the new Broly, Gohan, and Videl are going to be into the game now. We do also have some other kind of stages coming to the game as well. Berserker of Destruction. This is going to be Stage 5 for the Dokkan event, which is going to give us the exclusive Dokkan Awakening medals for the new Int Broly, so that is something, of course, to look forward to. Also, we have some new stages for the Dragon Ball Z memorable battles. Jeez, I can't even talk right. We have more stages for that. Also, we have more stages for the Supreme Magnificent Battle, or technically it's like the Supreme, like, what's it called, like the Supreme Spectacular Battle, Spectacle, whatever. We have new stages for the movie edition Blue Zone, I guess is what you want to call that. So a lot of things to look forward to. Also new banner assets, new summon animations in relation to the whole kind of Broly Second Coming movie, new tickets. It's going to be a blast, right? So not too much in terms of the data download, but still some nice kind of pieces all together. Now, we can kind of go outside of that. So when it comes to the banners, of course, that is going to be the important thing. How are the banners going to look for Global and for JP? And thankfully, Dokkan World has the images for us for the Global banners right here. So we see for the Global Dokkan Fest Broly banner, Broly in all of his glory, just kind of doing the fattest squat on the planet. Also, we see Hirudegarn back there, of course, the counterpart to the STR Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist Goku from the Part 1 Dokkan Fest banner. We see Merge Zamasu, of course, again, the counterpart to the Part 1 Vegito Blue in the Part 1 Dokkan Fest banner right there, I guess. Videl, the side banner unit, of course, AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku from Part 1 of the Golden Week celebration, the counterpart to In Majin Buu from the Part 1 Dokkan Fest banner. So basically, the featured SSRs that we see right here, like Goku and whatnot, they are going to be the counterparts to the Part 1 featured SSRs that we saw. So basically, that's pretty straightforward right there. Also, when we look at the Carnival banner, of course, we see the new Gohan looking pretty nice right there. Also, Tech LR Broly, who did get his Easy 8 quite recently. He is a beast, so definitely going to be enjoying pulling him, of course, if you don't have a copy of him. Sort of Hope Trunks. We do have Kid Gohan from Part 2 of the 8th year anniversary. Also, we have the AGL LR Ultimate Gohan from Part 2 of the Golden Week celebration. So altogether, this banner is pretty solid. It's not too crazy, I would say, but it's not that bad. Obviously, a couple nice units there, of course, with the new Gohan and the Ultimate Gohan right here as well. But when it comes to the banners, obviously there is a bit of a discrepancy compared to JP Dokkan. We saw this with Part 1. We're going to see it again right here. So, of course, when it comes to the JP banner for the Dokkan Fest banner, it's the same thing. Of course, we still have Hirudegarn, we still have Corrupted Merge Zamasu, Videl, Broly right here, Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But when it comes to the differences, that is showing up in the Carnival banner. We saw with Part 1 that there was a major difference where we had the Gammas available on the JP side of the game. That's going to be continuing right here. We do have the 9th anniversary Gogeta here on Part 2 for the Carnival banner. Now, do I think this is necessarily a big W? Yeah and no, because I mean, Gogeta and Gohan, I think, are both like not necessarily top 5 or even close to that kind of level in terms of LRs, but I do think Gogeta is slightly better. At the same time, I don't think Gogeta is at that level anymore where you're like, oh, I have to go get him. I need him in my roster. Like, I don't think that is necessarily the case. I think he's still a fantastic option. I think a lot of people, myself included, will be happy to pull him. But at the same time, I don't know if he's like a necessary must-have like he may have been maybe like 4, 5, or 6 months ago or something along that sort of sense. So that is kind of like the discrepancies, I guess, between Global and JP far as the banners are concerned. Now, aside from that, we did talk about, of course, some new stages. We do have some information. So, of course, the new Blue Zone stages are coming in. We do have to beat the new stages once, just in general, for these kind of stones right here. So this is free kind of Dragon Stones for the players, which is definitely something to take advantage of. Also, we have here some challenges. So we do want to beat Stage 4 with characters in the combination category. So I believe that's just joined forces, but that's going to be pretty straightforward there. Also, we do want to beat Stage 4 within a total of 10 turns. So that should not be too difficult. But we'll have to see. Of course, maybe I'll do a video on that fight. If you want to see it, let me know in the comments down below. Also, for Stage 5, we do have to beat it with a team full of characters in the full power category. So that is going to be a blast as well. Of course, a lot of new characters fit that category. So altogether, this is going to be a very fun Part 2. I'm actually curious to see if Part 2 is going to be overall considered better than Part 1. I think a lot of people will say that. But yeah, we'll have to see, of course, how Part 2 is handled actually in the game, all that sort of stuff. So a lot of fun things to look forward to. And I mean, yeah, all things considered, that's pretty much all the key information we need to know going into Part 2 of the celebration, which, by the way, the banners are going to be dropping about maybe like 24 hours from now. So it's going to maybe actually a bit less probably by the time this video comes out. So, I mean, you definitely have your Dragon Stones ready. Get hyped, get excited, because this is going to be a fun time to go into Part 2, going after Broly, going after Gohan, and enjoying the Broly Second Coming related part of the celebration. But in any case, that's going to do it for the vid. If you guys enjoyed it, of course, hit the like button down below. Also, definitely subscribe as well so you can support the channel and the content that I do here. And comment down below, how excited are you guys for Part 2? Who are you going to be summoning for, Gohan or Broly, or both? Maybe let me know in the comments down below. And definitely check out some of the other vids I have on my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.